I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil when inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington having his phone all into the screen. He getting them important text messages at the last minute, boy. Tell him you off of work, man. Tell him to go home. Nah, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. We like the sweet. We like the sweet. Don't tell him that. Keep them checks coming with Mike Washington. Keep them checks coming in.
Man, not that you're trying to pimp me on, man. Keep them checks coming.
Keep them checks coming, baby. I'm just saying. Charles ain't bad with them checks either now. You know, my check's small compared to y'all.
Well,
not to be inside it. You see, I tried to rush through it. Not to be inside the HBCU Sports Lab with episode 581. Welcome to episode 581 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora. All things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletics, aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We got the team together today. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, and beautiful home of Texas Southern University. We have championship week. Yeah, it's at the mid-major division. And guess what? We're going to unveil our mid-major poll rankings. And boy, the way it falls out is perfect for what we'll do in the second half of the show. It looks like we'll have some good interviews for you as well. But let's get right into it, as today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational and consulting and data analytics. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. Can't wait to get into it. Like you said, we got some great stuff on tap, and we got some exciting football that's going to come on down the stretch over the last 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's closing, but it's just getting good. Mm-hmm. I like your vest jacket there.
Oh yeah, this is dope, isn't it? I love it.
I recognize it.
Yeah, I've been sporting it all day today.
Yeah, everybody.
That is nice. Hey, if we ever hanging out, don't let it get caught slipping now. That's your one warning.
Yeah, I know. Spoken like a true big brother, like I'm lying somewhere.
hey, I'm just saying, don't let it slip.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mike,
it'll look real nice on me.
Yeah, you know Mike will collect it.
He will collect.
Oh, Dr. Cavil, I know you ain't talking.
Hey, man, I'm just saying. How you doing, Mike? You know, I got you a nice vest that says one chapter, one shield. You act like you didn't get no gift.
Oh, yeah, I got a gift. But after, man, you took my paddle, my white jacket, man, and years later, never mind. It's a story for another day. But we are getting toward the end of the seasons, and things are getting very interesting. So happy to be here, as CB mentioned. So things are getting really, really interesting.
Good stuff. Charles, what's the news of the day that you got for us?
Yeah, as always, we know chivalry is not dead. Let's start off. Let's give some love to the Southern women's soccer team. The Southern University soccer team got off to a fast start at the 2024 SWAC Tournament Championship, scoring the game's only goal in the first 16 minutes of the contest as Southern it went on an all-out defensive effort for 74 minutes of the game to claim the program's first ever SWAC championship in soccer and punched their ticket to the 2024 NCAA Division I soccer tournament after defeating Texas Southern 1-0. So kudos goes out to Coach Jeremy Fontenot and the Southern Jaguars soccer team. Tremendous atmosphere out there this past weekend out at Prairie View as Southern was able to knock off Texas Southern. I was able to be part of the broadcast. It was tremendous. A lot of great energy. I mean, Southern Jaguar fans were in attendance. Texas Southern was definitely in attendance. It made for a great atmosphere out there, but Southern was able to come out on top and get the victory and hoist the trophy.
Yeah, from television, I saw a lot of energy. Great call, sideline work that you were doing there, Charles. And the College Cup begins with Southern Jaguars as they'll open with Mississippi State Bulldogs on Saturday at the MSU soccer field with the kickoff set for 5 p.m. Central Time. So it'll be fascinating as the Southern gets a chance to go for the College Cup. Great report there. Let me go to you, Mike. What are your thoughts in terms of what's going on in your mind? Before we do that, Alyssa Romero, as you said, Southern was the tournament MVP.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, your thoughts?
Oh, let's
What news
switch
you
it
got
up
out
to
there that you
football.
want to talk about? Go ahead.
Let's switch it up to football. Let's SWAC announced their A&M's Donovan Eaglin, Grambling State's Andrew Jones, along with Jackson State, Gerardo Baeza, and honors for their outstanding performances. Of course, on the offensive side, Eaglin became the second FCS player to score 5 touchdowns in a game this season, fueling Alabama A&M's 52-24 win, SWAC triumph over at Pine Bluff. After across 3 quarters of action, he carried the ball 26 times for 148 yards. First scoring from 17 yards out early in the quarter before later rushing for 4 consecutive TDs. He basically just ate really well that day. So, and then on the defensive side, Jones, a redshirt junior from Marrero, Louisiana, was a significant contributor on the field during Saturday's 24-23 Grambling win over Alabama State. Saw that game, thought Alabama State had it. Oops, not so fast, my friend. He tallied 14 tackles, not 10, not 13, but 14 total tackles, 7 solo stops, and 2 tackles for loss. And then the specialist, Baeza, was perfect in a 51-14 victory for victory over Mississippi Valley State on a Saturday, connecting on all of his field goals. All 3 of them, 23, 26, 28 yards in the first half. So those are your SWAC weekly honor recipients. Congratulations to those folks.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Talk about champions. We talk about championships coming up. We talk about players of the week for the SWAC. Charles, you got any players of the week for the MEAC?
Yeah, let's take a look at the MEAC. And South Carolina State was well represented as far as weekly football honors. Let's take a look at it. South Carolina State's wide receiver, Anaj Carter, was named the MEAC Offensive Player of the Week. Fellow Bulldog Quantre Harry earned the Defensive Player of the Week honors, while Morgan State's Sayer Badima was named the Rookie of the Week. And South Carolina State's Trey Franklin and Dyson Roberts earned the Offensive Lineman and Specialist of the Week honors. So let's take a look at Carter, 5'8", 178-pound senior. He amassed 120 yards on 4 catches, including a 63-yard touchdown catch in South Carolina State's 38-14 victory over Howard. We take a look at Harry, Quantre Harry, the defensive back. He secured 2 interceptions with 6 solo tackles in a 38-14 win over Howard. Bundima from Morgan State, he recorded 3 field goals in the win against Delaware State. He connected on kicks of 21, 25, and 36 yards. He went 3 of 4 on point after touchdowns. He also averaged 49.7 yards on 7 kickoffs. Franklin, offensive lineman of the week, man, 6'6", 330. He registered a blocking grade of 88% with 3 pancakes, get the syrup out, 3 pancake blocks as the Bulldogs accumulated Dr. Cavil, 394 yards of offensive yards in the 38-14 win over Howard. And then Roberts, he collected 171 yards on 4 punts, 42.8 yard average with 3 landing inside the 20-yard line. He added 1 touchback and a long of 50 yards as the specialist of the week. So huge week for the South Carolina State Bulldogs in terms of almost wrapping up all of the weekly honors.
Before we go to our first break, let me give a shout out to Edwin D. Moore. He gets the A+ of the week. He recognized that Dr. Cavil is slimming down a little bit.
No, he did. Don't even get it.
14 pounds. 252.
I saw that comment. Edwin Moore, please.
And put in exercise. I joined Charles, and we kind of been working tit for tat. He's doing his thing. And so, we're working on it, trying to live a better life.
I know he's trying to get bounty points. I understand.
Say, man, don't hate on our classroom, man. Co-teacher, what kind of co-teacher are you? I'll write you up on a reprimand. Work with folks, man. College folks, man. Before we go to the first break, go ahead, Mike.
I knew you're gonna recognize that comment. No, thanks for recognizing Edward Moore. They have been on this program, so I'm trying to get back on mine, but duly recognized.
Nah, I appreciate that, Mike. I knew you had it in you. Shout out to Miles and Tuskegee. Particularly Tuskegee rivalry game. Miles for winning the game. Tuskegee were having lights and homecoming. Besides all the other things that we really frustrates us, and certainly have prayers for those involved. We talked about that, but Tuskegee, 47,311 on campus to watch that game. Big time shout out to those involved. And then the viral sensation that people can't get enough of in terms of ball and parlay. I'm working on a little project where it goes back and talks about the history of that music video. And then Dr. Carr, he did a homecoming analysis last spring where he talked about homecomings in general, and he ended up going into the ball and parlay, talking about it from the history back from the original song all the way to hip-hop community in Houston, Big Pokey, rest in peace, and then obviously to his connection with HBCUs and the bands. Really does a nice synopsis of that. But I'm going to do it as a presentation, so I'm working through that. I'll let people know when we get to that point. Albany State, Fort Valley State, another shout out for them, 28,675. Significant in recognition for that as well. And then we have some of the top attendance. With that, let's take our first break, come back on the other side. We'll get right into it. The mid-major poll rankings, top 7 this week. Look at the top 4 and how it falls out. Man, it's very fascinating. We might have our own college football mid-major division playoffs, CFMMDP. We'll talk about when we get to that after this break.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero in a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mr. This script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel.
A business big leaguer.
Go for Key.
Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true.
Gotta get the corners.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted CAVIL'S voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. CAVIL'S Voice, CAVIL'S Voice, CAVIL'svoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have none other than AD Drew has joined us. Nice background, AD Drew. I thought you were in the stadium for real, man. You're on mute. Thank you, Cedric Walker. See, we got another one talking about nice suit. Taylor there. See what I'm saying? These folks, man, we got some lab listeners that know what they're talking about. Yeah, testing. I think we got you. No, not yet. As we get Drew to get his mic straight as he working at it, we see he's in the studio live there in the background. So he's trying to make it remote and get into it. So figuring out. But let's get into our poll rankings as we we'll get him updated by the time we finish with the poll rankings, get him to give a response. We'll have it figured out. And actually, somebody just walked behind him, so he is actually live in there. So that's not a background. As he's trying to update with what that's looking like.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I was like, that ain't a bad.
Yeah, how do you do that? You know the animation, like nice animation work. Drew, you still working on it?
I hope nobody wastes nothing on it. Like, yeah.
So let's get into the top polls. Dropping out this week, Fort Valley State Wildcats with a tough loss against their rival Albany State. Is Mike likes to make sure they fall out of the poll at 6-4, 6-2. Still an overall great season, but not what they wanted to be. Because of the loss, they actually dropped out of being able to play for SIAC championship. Let's look at those receiving votes. We have a couple of different teams in the mix. Shaw Bears with a big win to finish the season, winning record 6-4, 4-3. That Albany State Golden Rams that we talked about, that got the big win. We close out at 6-4 and 6-2. And we have Fort Valley State 6-4, 6-2 for the Wildcats that are at number 10. So those are your teams receiving votes. Let's get in the top 7, and you're going to see what used to be the CIAA Southern Division. Look at these teams. We got one outside. Well, at number 7, we got one inside, which is Livingston Blue Bears. Big victory for them over Johnson C. Smith. It ruined what was a great season. Could have been a magical season for the Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. Still a great season, but the Blue Bears made sure that they had a winning season to culminate their season, 6-4 and 4-3 in the CIAA. They were not ranked this week, but based on the overall stuff with the CIAA did with the SIAC, the strengths of what used to be the Southern Division, they're in the mix. At number 6, Winston-Salem State Rams, also out of that proverbial what used to be the Southern Division of the CIAA. Remember, it's all just one division. We'll see how that culminates with this CIAA championship game. But they're at number 6, 7-3, 5-2. They were number 5. They dropped a slot, although they won and had a tremendous season. At number 5, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls, still out of that what, Charles? That what was the Southern Division of the CIAA. You see the refrain? 8-2, 5-2, 140 points. They sit and they have the tough loss, so they do fall from the 2 slot. Not only do they fall out of the CIAA, they fall in the poll. They fall 3 spots this week to number 5, still in the top 7. I must say a great season, which is going to be hard, but as they get away from it a little bit, they'll understand what they were able to accomplish for a program that hadn't had that level of success since the 70s. And number 4, Clark Atlanta Panthers. They sit at 7-2-1, 6-2, 148. They had a big win over their rival in the Morehouse, so they dropped 2 spots. More importantly, because of the loss by Fort Valley State, their win over Fort Valley State is they're all tied along with Albany State at 6-2. Go all the way back to that first game of the season, Charles. That victory created the success for the season, obviously, and the way it all played out, it put Clark Atlanta Panthers in the SIAC championship. They go on the road against Miles. At number 3, Virginia Union Panthers. They're 7-3, 6-1. 2 first-place votes, 165 points. They were previously ranked 1. Because of that loss to Virginia State, they dropped 2 spots, but they had already secured their spot, so they're in the CIAA championship game. At number 2, the other team for Virginia that defeated Virginia State is the Virginia State Trojans. They're 8-2, 7-3, 6-1, 3 first place votes, 168 points. They jump up 2 spots from number 4, and look at them. They are in that 2 spot, which means we have a new number 1 this week. And the new number 1 team is out of the SIAC. Miles Golden Bears, 8-2, 8-0. They just kept winning. They hadn't lost since that 3rd game of the season. They won all the conference games. They earned 5 first place votes, 204 points. The previous ranked 3, and they jumped all the way to number 1 because of the chaos that A.D. Drew likes to see during this time of the season did take place. And they got it done. Miles Golden Bears, 8-2, 8-0. They take over the number 1 spot. Now, before I get y'all to talk about this, think about this. Look at the top 4 teams. It ends up playing out. It is 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. You remember the old CFP before it expanded to the 12 team? That's what you used to see. 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Magically falls out that way. Man, imagine if you played the CIAA SIAC, and A.D. Drews talked a little bit about this magic. Obviously, we had the Florida Beach Bowl last year. It did not feature the champion, but if you had a bowl game that featured the champion that played next week or the following week, you could get a playoff type scenario based on the way things often fall out in the CIAA and SIAC. This year would have been perfect. With that being said, Drew, are you able to get things going in the mix? Can you give me your comments first on the top 7, and then we'll get into a little more about the playoff.
Mic check. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, you sound great.
All right. Yeah, now if Roy just get the doggone comment from over my face, people actually can see me. Now he got jokes.
Now he got jokes.
I know, right?
And this is not a virtual background. I am actually live in Valdosta, Georgia, where Morehouse will be taking on Valdosta State in basketball beginning at the top of the hour. But
it's going to be nice when you can kind of drop in your mic like that and just, I see you show out.
Actually, the game is going to be on the radio, so I needed to do a mic check. So what better way to do a sound check than to come on Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab? Because the same equipment that I'm sitting in the radio station is what I'm on.
That Morehouse money working real right for you, huh?
Hey, Mike, little secret. We a private school. We got to hustle for this. But no, seriously, this is the first time pretty much all year that I've had a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out who I was putting where. You know, when your previous team that's been number 1 all season decided to lose the last 2 games of the season, you bump Union up, and then they get to Dr. Cavil jinx and lose the week after they get bumped up, you know. Okay, Miles, yes, deserves to be number 1. But does Virginia State really deserve to be number 2, except for the fact that they won last week? Because when you look at their overall body of work, thank God this is a week-to-week poll, so I could justify it in my head because it's a week-to-week poll. But if I looked at the overall body of work, strength of schedule, Virginia State would not be number 2. I would probably have Clark Atlanta number 2 if I took the overall body of work, considering Virginia Union lost. You know, Johnson C, Winston-Salem still have a chance to get in, but I think we need to shout out number 7, who, after they were out of the race, decided to go and play spoiler to Johnson C. Smith in a game. Obviously, the game of the first 2 HBCUs to play football against each other, but to actually make that rivalry game mean something and to knock their rival, their oldest rival, out of potentially the playoffs and the SIAC championship game. That is what college football and a rivalry game is all about.
Great comments. Fascinating, all the angles you took there. I like what you said and what you went. I thought it was interesting when you talk about Virginia State not being number 2. It's going to be fascinating to see what if they get it done this weekend. How does it change things? But to your point,
Virginia State,
did hear some updates where you look at Virginia State and Virginia Union, where they don't have but maybe one win against a winning record team. But that's what happens sometimes when you play all your teams and they're all good at the same time in the same division. You kind of beat each other up. And since you're not in divisions, you don't have the benefit of being able to win in a tough division still representing. Now you take overall. So good points there. Let me go to you, Charles. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 7 this week?
I think first and foremost, like really kudos to the CIAA this past season. I mean, 5 out of the 7 slots are occupied by CIAA teams. And that speaks to the strength of what the CIAA was this past season. When you take a look at Livingstone, Winston-Salem, these were really good teams that finished in the top 7. So I take my hat off to the conference overall this past season. And then you take a look at, we joked about sort of the CIAA gobbling up all the spots, but look who sits at number 1, Miles Golden Bears. The SIAC on top to sort of close out the regular season, if you will. But I mean, I think it's on point. I mean, I know there's some, I guess AD has maybe some issue with Virginia State being number 2, but they got the work done. So I can't fault them for taking care of business when they need to take care of business. So I think the poll looks about right.
Yeah. Magical season for Clark Atlanta, going from 0-10 to 7-2-1. So I certainly could see how you could push them up. A lot of discussion there. But let me go to you, Mike. When you talk about the top 7, what are your thoughts?
No, I think we got it right. I think this looks iconic. I can't get over Clark Atlanta. They were 0-1 last year, and here they are. I will say, let's get off the Livingstone bit a little bit. Okay, let's stop it. Really, I mean, Livingstone did play spoiler. Yeah, I get it, but let's look at this. He wanted to give credit to Livingstone, but if you look at Livingstone's credit, didn't they lose to Bowie State, who's at the bottom? Didn't they lose to University of Charleston? Okay, they lost to Shaw. Let's get off the Livingstone. We're giving too much. We got it right. The folks ended up where they're supposed to be. And you're looking at, the 3 of the 4 teams. If you look at them and you look at where they stand offensively and defensively, you look at 4 of the most balanced teams at the end of the season. So I think we got it right. But get off the Livingstone. I know we want to reach and give them credit, but come on. Look at their record going back, and then you look at Miles' record. You look at Virginia State's record. Virginia State finished on a 4 or 5 game winning streak. Virginia Union finished strong. Clark finished, strong. Yes, they had an early season win against my father-in-law's Fort Valley Cats, but they had a very strong season. So I think it ended up right. So let's get off Livingstone. They finished where they finished. They all right.
Boy, you tough. I also want to give a little shout out to Texas College Steers, sitting at 7-3. The other proverbial NIA programs that we're used to doing really well, Florida Memorial, Langston Lions, they, were kind of up and down this year, solid seasons, but nothing really special. But Texas College Steers, I mean, they hadn't had a winning season since thinking about Johnson C. Smith. They might go a little further back than that. But amazing what they're able to do. Be interesting if they can close out the season strong, what they will do to see if they can jump into receiving votes or even the top 7. Based on maybe the way things fall out when you get the votes and data into that. So fascinating when you kind of look at that. Quick question before we go to our first break, come back on the other side, and we can maybe get into that a little bit. I'll mix it up. But again, CFMMDP, the college football mid-major division playoffs, we got, again, 1 versus 4. That happens to be the SIAC matchup. Miles Golden Bears at number 1. Are hosting the Clark Atlanta Panthers that are at number 4. That is 8-2, 8-0, perfect record on the line in conference play versus a 7-2-1, 6-2 team. And then on the other side, you have Virginia State Trojans, Virginia Union Panthers. They come in with the same record, 7-3, 6-1, 2-3. Boy, as interesting matchup. You could literally get a 1 versus 2. You could get that 1 versus 2-3, or you could get a major upset and get that 4 versus 3, 4 versus 2. But it just plays out. Be fascinating to see in the following weeks. What would that look like if you had that scenario? That's why I think it's important that we have these poll rankings to kind of look at matchups every week, so you can talk about those kind of things when you're not only talking about key players in those games, but also giving people an indication of where a team is in a week. How are they matching up? How are they playing at a time? And then obviously the games take place, and you reshuffle the deck based on what takes place that week, and gives you another week to talk about, all right, where teams are in the ranking. So hopefully SIDs, I know AD Drew understands this. I would imagine that I would not be surprised if you start seeing him put out there these rankings, no matter who he or what he uses. But he understands the value, since he does not just the SID side, but also the marketing side. So I'm excited to see how he'll change the games in some ways as we move forward. That being said, we'll save a little bit of that. We'll take our first break, come back on the other side, see if we can get some talk.
I got to jump off, Doc. Thank you for letting me on, but I just want to show you one thing.
Hey, look at the team over there. Good to see you.
She said cause is not important. Since I'm in her neck of the woods, she decided to come on over and check us out.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We'll take our next break. We'll come back on the other side. Drew will be out. You can listen to it after we get off. Listen to him call the game and see what's going on in Morehouse. They got to play some good basketball over there. We'll be right back after this break.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Will and inside the HBCU Sports Lab. If we can get my interview in, I think he's coming in here. Look who we got! Big time, Doc. Coach Doc, Coach Henry Frazier the third, a good friend of mine. Coach, it doesn't surprise me as you got back in the business. It didn't take long. You back in the championship game.
Yeah, we here. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me well?
Oh, you sound good.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, we got me here and download. When I got to download apps and all that, man, it's hit or miss trying to get me to do all that stuff. Boy, I tell you, man.
Well, we appreciate you. Appreciate you playing with us. We really wanted to highlight you and showcase you, particularly some of your players that have gotten it done for you to put you in a position to tie for a regular season championship and to play for an outright conference football championship.
Man, I ain't no tie. We number 1 seed, man. We regular season champs, man.
You did beat them head to head. You did beat them head to head.
I mean, I'm just trying to make sure you stay on point now.
You will put the point out that we've been doing this for years, and you remind me all the time. Just like you reminded me that this is not the first time. Everybody putting out there that teams don't play back to back, but you had to go through this in the SWAC championship when you earned Prairie View's first championship in many moons, literally.
Yeah, since
You
64,
had played
man.
Alabama A&M in that conference championship game, and the week before you had played them as well.
Yeah, we did. We played them last regular season game, and then there was I think a Bayou Classic or something they do in Louisiana that next week.
Some game they call it.
Yeah, something they do down in that Louisiana Superdome, and then we got busy with them that next week. So, and beat them both times. And so, when I was a player at Bowie State back in '89, we beat Winston-Salem twice in the same year. It wasn't back to back, so I'm a little familiar with playing a team twice in the same year.
So talk a little bit about that familiarity. What do you do in those cases? And how much do you take from the past in terms of preparing for this game this week?
Well, you take a lot, because leading up to the game last week, I personally, I watched the whole season for Virginia Union. I had to watch 9 football games in preparation, and coordinators did the same. And you log a lot of hours, and then you formulate a game plan. And now what you do is you take the ball game you just played in, you see if you were right in the things that you thought were going to happen. Then you take what did happen, and you still got the film. You only break it down one film, so now you can do a lot of analytical things with that game versus personnel and all that, because who they're gonna play. Because we both played our best players the whole game. And we both tried to beat each other. So now you can say, okay, when they in this, we thought they were going to do this, but they doing this, because they did a lot of things differently against us than they did against other teams. So now it's just fine tune some things. I'm gonna throw a wrinkle in there. I'm sure Parker will throw a wrinkle or two in there, and now it's gonna be who wanted the most.
Charles?
Well, it brings up an interesting question, because I was going to ask about sort of the nuances that you think you might see the second time around, but it sounds as though it's a little bit easier to look at them the second time around versus the first time, just in knowing what tendencies and the personnel that they might bring out there.
Yeah, it's easier in terms of the game plan, the overall game plan, but now what goes in, that analytical is tough, because what I do on Sunday, I give the coaches, look, the coordinators, I say, all right, now we saw what beat us, what did this. So for instance, for Virginia Union, I say, when they go tight end trade one tight end, I want you to tell me every time they handed it to number 3 bias, every time they threw it to number 1. When they trade 2 tight ends, now you go back. I want to see every time because those are the players. Number 1, Vic, Jada Bias, number 3. We gotta make sure, that we can figure out a way to stop those 2 guys on their offense. So now that you got to go back and watch, it's probably a little more detailed now versus the overall, because then we know who the dogs are, we know who's hunting this season. So now I go deep into the weeds and trying to give the guys the best possible, put them in the best possible situation to be successful.
Damn, that's hard.
Yeah.
Mike?
Coach Frazier, real quick question. First half of your season looks different than the last half of your season. You put the floor to the middle the last 5 games. What was there a come to the mountain meeting? Was there something you said? Was there some sauce? Was there something in the Low Country Bowl or something? Or tell me what was that change that sparked? I look at the margin of victory your last 5 games. They're incredible.
That was that crab meat.
Yeah, how about that? Now it was a couple of major things that we knew we had a good football team. I told them first day of training camp, man, we were very talented. We have an opportunity to do something special. And the flip side is that I have a lot of young coaches, man. When you're at the Division II level, you got a few part-time guys and things like that. So when you're a young coach, man, you want people to like you. So I switched everything up after the Winston-Salem loss. I took that one on the chin. That was my fault. We've never had a bye week. So with week 0, we had opportunity to have a bye week, and I wasn't a very good coach in the bye week. I don't even think we went full gear that week. I was pretty soft on the guys, and and having them have their first bye week. And as a result, as we approached that Winston-Salem game, they beat us. We lost 3 games by 10 points. So it wasn't like we wasn't good. We lost by 1 point to them, 3 or 4 points to John C. Smith, 5 points to Norfolk State. So we were in every game. We were a possession away from winning each one of those games. But my coaches want them the guys to be their friends and want them to like them. And I'm like, hell no, man. So we started this thing on Thursday, how you play your players, which meant I can't be in every meeting at every time, but I begin to take over a lot of things in terms of, okay, this is how I listen to you, but this is how we're going to play the players. If a guy's a number 2, he's a number 2 for a reason. He's number 2. And they trying to play, we're going to play this guy for 2 possessions, play this guy, because we had a lot of talented players. So I changed all that. The thing is, I retired a few players. I had them go into early retirement. I changed quite a few guys' positions, and then we got rolling because we knew we had talented guys. But hey, this guy may have started last year. They keeping him in the game, but we got a guy standing next to me that everyone on the staff know is better. Nice guy. He's a great kid. I'm like, man, hell with that. That's going to get all of y'all fired. So, now at this point, I made decisions on personnel. I started making, and then I took over the scout team because we got 65 kids on scout team.
Wow.
So, I was able to redshirt 35 my first year. I 36 my second year. So we, the cupboards are full. We got a lot of really good talented players. I brought in 21 transfers my first year, 17 my second year. So they had to come in and be impactful. More importantly, they have to come in and get in where they fit in. And we had a 4-star linebacker, Ohio State, Tennessee State, dropping out a lot 2 weeks before camp. He running with the tools. He can't crack that lineup because I got dogs out there. So where you going to find a 4-star guy going to go to a D2 school that's okay with special teams and playing second string? Because we have a hell of a locker room, man. Our culture is very strong. And that's normally by year 3 when I go places. I mean, this is my 3rd team I took the CIAA, second CIAA team I took to the championship. SWAC team I took to the championship. Hell, if I don't get in trouble up in North Carolina, I'm pretty sure Jerry Mack already bought me a drink for them championships he won at North Carolina Central.
Yeah, he know. Oh
yeah,
I told him too, and that's my boy.
Guy,
That's my guy. Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, that's my guy. He's on it. Talk about some of the key players that make this thing go.
Man, offensively, we loaded, man. If Romelo don't break his wrist last year, we might be having this conversation. He broke his wrist week 4, week 4-0. Yeah, we went 8-2, but it's different when he in the game, man. He different. He different, man. He can flat out boogie, man. He can do it. He's a pure pocket passer, even though he's 5'10", 5'11", but he also 4'40" kid. So, no Miami boys, man, but as he go, we go. My offensive line, man, starting with my big tackle, Big Bruno, I brought with me from Maryland. We started the same 5 guys every game this season. So, and 4 of those guys started last year every game. So we have a very good offensive line. We beg you to blitz us. Please blitz. Please blitz. We give Romelo in one-on-one coverage, just a wrap. Outside, we got receivers, man, and they all know their role. I know their role, man, and that's why we're so good. They doubled Kevin Gales last week, who lead the nation. He had 30. He had 15 catches for something like 544 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like he averaged 36 yards a catch. So they jammed him, bracketed him over top. But then what that do? That lead the other guys to have the boogie, like a Malik Hunter who had it was 206 yards receiving. They missed one of his catches. They gave it to number 0 on defense, who didn't even play. But he had over 200 yards of receiving. So then Jamel Williams, our running back, Jay Will, man, at the beginning of the season, they was playing him 2 possessions, and they bring in the number 2 guy. Then they bring in a number 3. Then they go back to him. I say, oh, hell with that. He play till he get tired. When he get tired, number 2 come in and spell him for a play or 2, get him back in there. On defense, man, we played, 11 defensive linemen every game. They are dogs, you know. And it started with Cam Davis. Cam Davis is my guy. He, you know, defensive end. Then we got Jay Sean Austin, who leads the conference in sacks. Another guy. And then in the middle, we just got about 5 D tackles, and we just continuously rotating in. Our linebackers, like I said, man, KJ McNeil, to me, the best athlete on the team. Him and Carl Poole anchored that in the middle, and then we got 2 FBS guys on the corner. You know, with Vontae Gator and Kenny Bennett. Then we got them 2 safeties, 6-foot safeties standing back there, man. So we, you know, Howard and we call him Deuce Edmond from Baltimore. Then we got us a kicker this year, Joshua Campbell, freshman kid.
Nice.
It's been awesome. So man, those are some of our guys, man. And we like our team, man. It's a good football team.
Coach, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. I know during the season you get busy and I don't get to do it as much, but you gave me a blessing to talk to you before the season. And you told me this is right where you plan to be and where you're going to be. And look at you. You make me look like a genius. You got it done. Certainly, I'm going to go Trojans, and I look forward to a championship game a Saturday and seeing what you're going to get done in that matchup. We look forward to talking to you afterwards. See you raising up another trophy. For those that don't realize this, I'll do this, Dr. Henry Frazier, the third, in regards to go look at this gentleman's tree, coaching tree. 3 different conferences of HBCU football, had winning records in all of them, rebuilt programs that were stumbling. And so Frazier is at it again at Virginia State University. So I just want to make sure a little more folks put a more respect on your name, Dr. Frazier the third. And I make sure you know I call you Dr. Frazier because that was at your dissertation defense. You know, everybody else call you coach, but you do it on multiple levels, brother.
From Prairie View too, baby. I got made a degree. I'm an alum from Prairie View, baby.
Amen.
There you go. There you go.
A lot of people don't know. Actually, that 2009, that championship year, I took 9 in-person credits. Full-time PhD student at Prairie View. I will be in class from 8 in the morning to like 1 p.m. Then have to come pregame meal and get ready for ball games during that championship season. Because Prairie View wasn't going for that. They ain't giving a hell who I was. They said, you gonna come your butt to class. You gonna do that. You know, and but that was one of the, because you know that was it wasn't stressful though. It was I was learning. I was becoming a better version of myself, and I was being an example to my boys and my biological family, and it was a hell of an experience in 2009, man. I was dead tired all the time.
But you turned the culture. Trust me. Famous statement. This ain't your mama and daddy's Prairie View. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Nah, we gonna hit you in your mouth, man. And
no doubt.
You tune in and to watch this Virginia State team, man. We play violent, man. We play violent brand of football, and you know they gonna have their gray shirts on Saturday. Anything gray gonna be on his back. You better believe that.
Good stuff. Well, we'll let you get out of here. I know you got big things to get prepared for, and we certainly will have you tune in. We wish you the best. Go Trojans.
Wow. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Yes, all right. We'll take this next break. We'll come back on the other side. Thank you, Coach.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request.
Good job.
You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort. with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's bring on none other than Clark Atlanta University head coach, Coach Teddy Keaton. He's out on the field, so we certainly are blessed to bring him to the stage. Coach Keaton, how's it going out there in practice? We heard a little bit about, say, somebody was making a play.
Well, they out here working, baby. That's all we can say. They out here working. We getting it in.
I appreciate it with that red field, man. That looks pretty awesome. Coach, talk a little bit about the big win over Morehouse and how things fell out. Obviously, I love what you're doing on the social media platforms. So you got a lot of people that follow you got to actually see your team watching Albany State and Fort Valley go down, and ultimately with Albany State getting a win, which meant that based on your win and what you did in the totality, obviously the win over Fort Valley State this season, but head-to-head meant that your team, Clark Atlanta University, the Panthers, were heading to the SIAC championship game.
Well, I think it was significant in the way we prepared. This was my first time being in the rivalry. I had never, I've heard about it, but I didn't know the magnitude of it. I think that Morehouse gave us everything they wanted. We tried to give them everything we wanted. And in terms of the championship, I tell them we try to go 1-0 every week. We don't worry about who we got next or what's going to happen. We just need to take care of our business and what we were doing. And I think the kids did a really good job of staying focused on what was at hand. And they did a really good job of competing and trying to get to the point where we get a chance to do something special here at Clark Atlanta University.
Yeah, don't worry about that, Coach. I see they out there getting ready. We excited. We can have it. We need to hear a little bit of the background. They get people fired up for Saturday because it's championship Saturday. With that being said, let me take you back just a little bit, if you would. Friday, obviously, you had a big day. You had Stephen A. Smith. You had the team from First Take down here. I thought you handled that really well. Your comments there, and I was excited that now we're starting to hear folks talk about the fact that you took a team that was 0-10. People recognize what you did at Allen, what you've done a little bit before that, particularly now you at Clark Atlanta, what you're doing, taking this team that was 0-10 just last year, now into a conference championship season with 7 wins. Talk about the emotion of what took place Saturday and how you've taken advantage with every opportunity you had to showcase Clark Atlanta University.
I think it was a great opportunity, not only for the institution, for me as an individual, and I think it was a great opportunity for the SIAC and for D2 football, period. Most of the stops that they make are on the Division I, level, and they don't necessarily have to come here. But this was a great atmosphere. The kids from Morehouse, Clark, Spelman, everybody did a tremendous job of representing their prospective institutions, and everybody was proud of me and the way I handled myself on national live TV. I'm very proud of the opportunity, and I think that everybody's taking notice of. They're starting to do a little homework now, all the way back to when I was at Stillman and what I did there. And then they followed it on over to Allen, and then they following it over here. But this was a little bit differently because you're talking about a team that since they've been CAU has notoriously been a bad, deal for football. And then you turn around and you date back all the way to the Clark College years. And the last time they outright won a championship was 1978. And prior to that, they had only 8 winning seasons. So you talk about a program that has been bad, and just putting it in that stage and having the kids to be able to see themselves and what they were able to accomplish, and making a big deal out of it. And I think this time when they're in their first chance to be able to play for SIAC outright, and our term for the beginning of the year was we want to go from worst to first. And those guys bought into that philosophy, and then we made up another slogan called Be the Reason. And that Be the Reason slogan came from everybody need to be the reason. You can either be the reason we fail, or you can be the reason we succeed. So a lot of those guys bought into those philosophies, and look where it landed them at today.
Man, that's pretty all right. Also, brother, you look sharp on television. You look sharp. I got to give you a shout out.
Well,
Charles?
you can thank my wife for putting my clothes together.
There you go. Yeah, shout out.
She bought me a few things and make sure I look handsome.
Smart man. I like that. Charles.
Yeah, Coach, let's go into the matchup itself in terms of taking a look at this Miles College football team. First and foremost, what makes them so difficult, and how will you guys go about the process of reversing the fortunes from a couple of weeks ago?
Well, you think about the stats. Look at the stats on that game. We beat them in every aspect of what we did there. But we also hurt ourselves. When you play against championship caliber teams, you cannot do anything to have self-inflicted wounds. You can't turn the ball over. You had a block punt. The statistics say, I'm a big analytic guy, so the analytics tell you if you can block a punt in a game, you got an 80% chance of winning it. And not only did they block a punt, they blocked the punt for a touchdown. And then that's an old momentum swift right there. Now you got to figure out how much of your culture you have that you've been working with to make people, the kids, and understand that so what now what philosophy. We got to bounce back. And then David Wright threw 3 interceptions that netted 21 points for them. And that's not a good way of giving that type of team with already. They have championship pedigree. I coached that Miles, so I know what they breed in those kids, and I know what they instill in those kids. So they expect to win. You're talking about some guys that's learning how to win and how to play together and understanding how to fight back. But I also been preaching to them it's difficult to beat a team twice. So how they prepare for it and how they go about it is the opportunity that they created for themselves. And, we had to have some teams to line up for us to get there. So I believe it was destined for us to be there. Everybody talk about the Albany State win. We were 2 behind. We needed Savannah State to beat Albany State just to be still in the picture. And that happened for us the week we played Tuskegee. And then while we playing Morehouse game, you can't help but to keep it in the back of your mind, what is Albany State doing? But we still had to take care of our business, and Albany State handled business for us. And then we ended up in the championship game. I say, well, what's destined? And then you get a chance to play a team that most people probably won't give me a chance at, but I believe in me, and I'm going to bet on myself.
That's all right. Love to hear that, Coach.
All right.
Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Keaton, a simple question. Just to build off the point you just made, you guys were looking at Albany State. You were looking at Savannah State. Now you're here in the championship game. What are you telling the guy? What's in the sauce of the philosophy that you're giving to the guys to not get caught up in the press clipping? Then, to just play and play like you can. What are you doing?
We talk about process. So ever since I've been here, it's all been about the process. I told you, go 1-0 every day. Go 1-0 once a week. Can't think about everything around you. All that stuff is for the fans. You'll celebrate after you win. I guarantee you, I told them yesterday, some of y'all are the most handsomest guys on campus right now. I say, but and once you win, you become you'll be one of the most popular guys on campus after a while. Those guys, I think that they won't get back more than anything. So I think the pressure is on Miles more so than it is on Clark Atlanta. I know my guys are not practicing like they just want to be here. They've been pretty sharp. So I'm excited about what they're doing. We're in team right now, and I'm watching them execute at a high level. I'm watching them fly around, and usually by this time of the season, everybody's pretty much then packed it up and gave it in. But these guys know what's at stake, and they're gonna give it a hard-fought shot.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, with that, talk about some of the players that make this go. I know obviously a lot of folks focus on the quarterback and well-deservedly, but can you name some of the other players? I noticed on your show that you talked about how many young players you're playing as well.
Oh, you got Jamal Jones. You have a wide receiver. You have Amon Harris. He's really good. And we got a lot of players on defense that's learning the game and stepping up. At the linebacker core, you got true freshmen. 35. I can't get all of them named out to you, but there's a lot of guys on this team that's contributed to what we're trying to accomplish, and a lot of those guys will be back here next year. So it's kind of like this is for them to be on this stage at an early pace. They're doing a really, really good job of soaking it up. And being young, I'm worried about it. You know, it's just like going to college. From 18 to 22, there's a tremendous amount of self-discipline you got to have. And there's also a lot of time management you got to have. And I think the guys have handled their role as people got hurt. They stepped up and they bought into, you know, next man up philosophy. And they've done a really good job of filling in and helping us out when we needed them to.
Coach, after this one, I'll let you get to it. Just want to give you a chance to talk about the support that you have, or whether it's from the president, the AD, your fans around there in the greater Atlanta area, how so many people have bought in and understand what you're able to get done.
Man, you don't know. These folks that came out of the woodwork, we have awakened a sleeping giant around here. You know, I'm talking about people that you didn't even know. I mean, I didn't realize Clark Atlanta had an alumni base of football players and people that just wanted to support it. When you looked up every week at a game and the stands are getting fuller and fuller and fuller, and then we got to the Morehouse game, the student section was just off the chain. The band has been there. The biggest game was Tuskegee, and I saw how the spirit had changed here. Like I said, you got to have the 3 A's at any institution in order for it to be successful. You got to have academics, you got to have activities, and you got to have athletics. And I think athletics as the key booster to most things. It creates the spirit for the college, for everybody around it. So everybody goes to the football game to, you know, be able to be a part of that. And when you get into a conversation piece, First Take didn't come here for the math building. It came here for athletics. And what we're building here is letting people know that we're being noticed. You know, we're being seen, and what we're doing is more than just about winning a championship. It's about creating a competitive spirit here at Clark Atlanta University.
Well said, Coach. With that being said, we'll let you get back to it. Appreciate you taking out time, coming off to the sideline as you get ready for this championship game. We look forward to it. We certainly will be watching, and personally, me pulling for you in a lot of ways. Go Panthers.
Go Panthers. That's what we're doing, baby. Go Panthers. Y'all have a great day.
Go
Panthers. All right, have a good. We'll take this last break, come on the other side, and talk just about a few things, and then we'll call it the evening.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
At Automasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Had 2 great interviews with 2 of the coaches that will be playing in championships this weekend. Obviously, that's Dr. Henry Frazier III, head coach of the Virginia State Trojans, number 2 in our ranking this week. And we have number 4, Teddy Keaton, head coach of the Clark Atlanta Panthers, that ranked number 4 in the ranking. Virginia State will be taking on Virginia Union, 2 versus 3. Both teams come in at 7-3, 6-1. Clark Atlanta Panthers will be on the road taking on Miles Golden Bears. Panthers come in at 7-2-1, 6-2 in the conference play. Miles and Golden Bears are 8-2, 8-0 in the conference race, CIAA, SIAC respectively. These are rematches, one from a week before, one a couple of weeks ago. Again, uniquely as the polls came out, this is 1 versus 4 in the SIAC, 2 versus 3 in the CIAA. We have a CFP, if you would, a little model that I talked about in terms of what that looks like for the mid-major divisions. I kind of teased that out in that second segment, but want to get your thoughts now before we close things out. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of how things shook out? 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and the fact that if you had a mid-major championship, how it would align playing out things in this matter?
You normally have a surprise, and I think Clark was that surprise in terms of how they were able to sort of get themselves back into the championship. But I love just the first 4 teams here: Miles, Virginia State, Virginia Union, and Clark. I mean, I think it would be a fun sort of playoff to see how these teams would match up, or whether you take a look at a 1-4, Miles versus Clark, then obviously we got Virginia State, Virginia Union, and 2-3. But I mean, I think it really makes for an interesting sort of championship weekend when these teams, they've seen each other, they'll be very familiar with each other. It's going to take that, 10, 15 minutes of momentum swing to really turn both of these games, I believe. I think we're going to have some really close contests that are going to come down to the end.
CFMMDP, College Football Mid-Major Division Playoffs, essentially we have this week, and they will come down for championships. Mike, we got 2 doctors in the CIAA, 2 coaches. And you think about it, all 4 of these coaches have been at their institutions for a relatively short term, if you think about it. But what are your thoughts in terms of how this shakes out with the 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 matchup for these championships?
Well, I guess you throw part of my thunder. I was thinking about Dr. Frazier, and when he was at PV, and I was wondering, I was going to ask, how long has he been there? How long has any of these coaches been there? And look at the cultural change that they brought about. I think that's, to me, an interesting side story. The cultural change that they brought about to create winning teams. I think it's very intriguing. I think it creates the narrative for a mid-major playoff system. The other thing is, I think one matchup is very intriguing in that you have, the 1 and 2 defense going against each other. Whereas in Virginia State, Virginia Union, and then matchup-wise, you have one team in the SIAC and Clark Atlanta that is a little bit ahead of Miles in offense, but Miles has the stronger defense. So a little bit of dichotomy there. So interesting matchups from a philosophy standpoint. Which team's going to kind of bring their A game? But a lot of side stories, new coaches, cultures being built, the story of the narrative. To me, if there's any other, there's no other reason, look at this as a reason to have a mid-major playoff, and then the dichotomy of the teams that actually made it. I think that all makes for really good press and really good football on a Saturday afternoon.
So obviously, I'm not going to press either coach on this, but I mean, if I'm a SWAC fan at a whatever institution and I'm emailing my AD, I mean, are these guys not viable candidates?
SWAC or MEAC?
Oh, yeah, I no doubt about that. Not certainly for MEAC SWAC. You could argue outside of that. These certainly are coaches that are going to be hot commodities. I'm going to be fascinated to see how things work out this year. I think we have some teams that people are looking at with records, and maybe over the season people are a little frustrated. But I always tell people, remember the contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts. I'm very fascinated. I don't necessarily see a lot of openings coming up this year. I know a lot of people see it being a little deeper than that, but most of these coaches are relatively new in terms of their places. The coaches that people are looking at having down years have at least 1, if not multiple years on their contract. And so I'm fascinated to see, will you have ADs and presidents or alumni that push for that? We have some rabid fan bases that are a little deeper, that have shorter leases than some, and I'm not sure those are the ones that are on the docket. So I'm really fascinated to see how that plays out. I just don't see a lot, which unfortunately, because the talk is going to be deservedly so some of these coaches should be in the mix, and I'm not going to be sure that's the case. But with that being said, I'm fascinating because you have to talk Clark Atlanta. You know, the other thing people are talking about is the move. You know, move up. This is going to be now. Everybody used to talk about Clark Atlanta playing football, but in one season they started that, and you already have Karen out there talking about Clark Atlanta moves up. They should go to the MEAC. And while I've already said that I think SWAC should push for that Atlanta market, but MEAC is not crazy. They should be pushing for it early as well. And it's fascinating to see what that looks like, how real that is, or how much is that is just fans, you know, making that talk. Those are some issues that are going to play out on the table, what this looks like and how that changes things into some of these teams and what that looks like moving forward when you start taking that next step in multiple facets. And Clark Atlanta, you think about what they did in basketball last year, how they've been performing in baseball, that whole program trajectory is up. And no wonder you had a president that supports athletics. He did it at Miles College, which took a little bump, but Miles College has been doing it since he's left because he kind of set that foundation. They held on to it and see the value. Now he's taking him a little more time. He seems like he's turning the curve and getting it done at Clark Atlanta University. So I think that's fascinating when you start to see that work and what does that look like when teams move forward. I think I wanted to get up a little bit just to touch on it, and we'll get a little more into this on Thursday when we flip and start focusing a little bit on the major division. You have some key matchups this weekend. Fascinating from a television perspective. You have 3 straight days. Things start off on Thursday. Not a top 10 matchup, but a good one in terms of conference. You have Grambling and Alabama A&M. On Friday, you have what everybody thought was going to be a magical game and still going to be interesting with Howard and North Carolina Central. And then you have a matchup on Saturday where you feature 2 top 10 matchups. Jackson State at Alabama State, that's number 1, going on the road, and we've seen how that has taken place the last couple of weeks. They're at number 7, Alabama State Hornets team. That's certainly formidable defensively. Imagine how they play at home. Can they get enough offense? Can they stop the run, which Jackson State has been able to do really well this year, particularly over the last couple of weeks. 8-2, 6-0, one against 5-4, 4-2. And then you have one that's basically for the ticket to the Celebration Bowl if Bulldogs can get it done. That's number 1 on the road at number 10. Another defensive matchup for Morgan State Bears. Offensively, they've turned it on a little more, but the defense may have slipped a little bit. We'll get the chance to really see can South Carolina State, number 1 team at 7-2, 3-0, go into Baltimore and get it done against Morgan State Bears sitting at number 10, 5-5, 2-1. Again, this has implications in terms of Bulldogs get it done. They have the tiebreaker record. No matter what happens in the last game, they're in the Celebration Bowl. A lot more work to be done in the SWAC. But if Jackson State wins this game, they clinch their bid in terms of the SWAC championship game. And you have the ability to see it on the West as well with Southern hosting Pine Bluff. Can they close the door? And we could be wrapped up talking about some games, but really looking ahead to these bowl games and championship games just as early as we normally do at the mid-major level. So fascinating to see what that looks like. But wanted to say thank you for your questions and time. Great information. And we'll park it right here, Charles. Any last thing that you want to get on the table before we call it a show?
No, I mean, I think we'll get into it on Thursday. We got some fascinating matchups coming into this upcoming weekend as far as the SWAC and especially the MEAC. Can people punch their tickets? I think that's the theme going into the weekend.
Mike, your final thought?
No, nothing more other than what he said. Can some teams finish? So we'll talk about it Thursday.
Exactly. Talking about finish, Tennessee State as well. Can they get a needed win to put themselves in to finish the season strong? They got a big win this past one, made a major statement with the points they already put up, kind of rebounding after a tough home loss. Can they close out the season? We shall see. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports. coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watch and Charles Bishop. We hope you enjoyed. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I hope you enjoyed those interviews with the coaches there with Mike Watch and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday right here at 6 o'clock. Sunday at 9 a.m. Charles will be leading the way on Sunday as I'll be on the plane. Might sneak something in Saturday night. I'll see what Charles and Mike's schedule like. If they can have an interest in doing that, we might sneak stuff up, particularly if we get some teams closing things out for championship. We might get ahead. That way we can do the poll and concentrate that on Sunday. But if we talk about people wrapping it up, we might give you a little something. So keep your eyes on Saturday night so we can do maybe a special show. With that being said, follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Facebook and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike? Mike?
Lecture.
Yes.